Hi, everybody. I am Litecoin Lisa. You guys also know me as Lisa Mighty Davis, and that name came from my amazing daughter, Mighty Mia. We have a family foundation, and we honor her life every year. And this year, we are going to be having an event, the Team Mighty Freedom event, Freedom Celebration, and we are honoring a champion and a warrior this year. And Xweir and the Road to Ruta crew are our champions. And my dad, my pops, is our warrior this year. We're asking you to come join us in Oklahoma City. You can get your tickets if you go to team22.eventbrite.com, and you'll learn more there. So you guys join us in Oklahoma City. Come to my hometown and hear about freedom and the inspiring story of Mighty Mia. We'd love to see you there.
All right. Greetings and welcome to the 60th episode of the World Blockchain Roundtable. I hope everybody got a look at that video up front. Lisa, I hope to be able to be there. And if you guys show up, you might even get to see me play and sing.
That's right. Yeah. Thank you guys.
That
thanks for sharing that. We're going to have a great time August 6th in Oklahoma City, and everybody is welcome. I hope everybody can make it.
Awesome, I'll be honest. Awesome. I thought about hopping onto a plane. I'm right next to a little airport here, and I'm like, I could make that. And I do want to go meet these people in person, but I think I'm going to be out of country. So I'll be there in spirit.
Okay.
But I'll just agree with Greg. Make it out there if you can.
Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. So our host today, we have Dave from Den Social.
Hello.
And as you already heard from Lisa Mighty Davis, aka Litecoin Lisa, aka one of my favorite people and yours too. We have Darko from Crypto Tonight, first timer on the show. Excited to hear from him because he was talking about a rant that he's got coming, and we've got to hear from him on that.
Thanks for having me, brother.
Yep. Satoshi Sean, entrepreneur and everyone's friend, and I am Greg. Today I am your master of ceremonies, and I am with Rivet. Quick update from last week, the World Blockchain Roundtable Layer token ownership tokens distribution. This week we had each host receive 133 lot. Each topic contributor from last week will receive 33 lot. And last week's theme on current events was suggested by Joe himself, and he will get an extra 33 lot. So these ownership tokens always come with perpetual passive income, free edits, and governance votes. And we also have the World Blockchain Roundtable DAO, a vote to allow anonymous posting. So if you go into the governance tab, use your lot and vote, and we'll have a link in the show notes.
Yep, I just voted for that and saw it. So
cool.
Yeah, go do that, y'all.
Yep. And for what it's worth, I'm going to push for yes anonymous. So anybody who wants to be on Team Anon, go hit the yes button. Themes suggested are theme suggestions are also posted, and they're due Monday, and we'll have a link in the show notes as well. And the theme of this week is raising capital, which I nominated. And basically this topic is going to be more for everybody who wants to draw on the experience of the folks who are up here who have already made some efforts in getting the things that they want to build and work on some funding. And really get something going off the ground that can do more and have more reach and have more power to change. So this is really a week for you guys, for everybody listening, and we want to share any kind of expertise that we have with you. So I think at that we'll jump into current events. Do you want to start with Darko's rant? We got to hear this.
Oh, we're getting straight into the juicy, are we?
We could, yeah, because I was saying, you were saying something about, I think that I could relate to it too, but I haven't heard what it is. So I think let's go there, huh?
Well, first off, tell us a little bit about you, since you're new here.
I hail from the planet Mars. I live in a cave, and I wish I had one Bitcoin.
Hell yeah.
No, on a serious note, I've been in and out of crypto since 2012. Started running my YouTube channel about late 2017, I think it was. I've basically seen a lot of ups and downs. I discovered Bitcoin when it was $1, and I just didn't pay any attention to it. I found out about it in a local newspaper because there was no YouTube channels back then. I don't think there was even YouTube back then for people to talk about crypto and things like that. So it was just the local newspaper, and I ended up getting in at $128. for Bitcoin. I sold it at
Nice.
250, thinking I did very well. And I've been in and out of the game ever since. And done streams for Altcoin Buzz, Satoshi Sean channel, Asia Blockchain Review, Coin Market Cap, Huobi Global, Crypto Advance. And yeah, here we are. That's the long story short. I didn't want to bore you too much.
Awesome, man.
We're
Awesome.
very happy to be here.
Yeah, we're super glad to have you. Sounds like you have a lot of experience to contribute to today's topic, but hopefully you'll come back again because your voice is unique in its longevity of experience. So anyway, to the rant, we're really just dying to hear what you have to say.
All right, cool. So yeah, I'm the founder of Crypto Tonight YouTube channel, and it's not a very big channel, but it's not the smallest channel either. And over the last few months, I have noticed a steady decrease in views. Now, through my experience over the years, I've associated the decrease in views not with the quality of the content, because I'm very fussy, but when the markets are up, views pump. When the markets are down, views drop. That's the grim reality of it. This is why you see so many like crap YouTubers doing well, especially when the markets are bullish, right? And you're thinking, how are they doing well? And it's just part of the market flow, right? So anyway, Sean already knows this. I was ready to pull the plug about a month ago, just stop altogether. I had enough. And then I got approached by Huobi Global and started doing streams with them on their official app. And I saw the views. Now I'm getting real views, like in the thousands every episode, every stream. So that gave me a bit of hope. But I did slow down from going on my YouTube channel, from going 5 nights a week to 1 a week, maybe even once a fortnight over the last few weeks. I was demotivated. I thought, all right, no one's watching. What's the point, right? But I appreciate the very few who were watching over the last few weeks. So then tonight, I ended up interviewing Tron founder Justin Sun, right? And I was streaming that to the official Huobi Global app and to my YouTube channel at the same time. And they were also streaming it to their official Huobi Global YouTube channel. So anyway, the last I saw, because the stream ended not even 2 hours ago, in the app, they had something like 26,000 views for that stream. Cool. I got to check my YouTube channel, 19 views, bro. 19 views, right? And I had a suspicion that over the last few weeks, when I was ready to pull the plug, I had a suspicion, and I told a lot of people this, that the YouTube algorithms are working against me. I've got thousands of subscribers, bro. Thousands. It doesn't make sense to have someone like Justin Sun on a crypto channel, everybody knows the name, and get 19 views. So I thought, all right, I've been shadow banned or something like that.
Sounds like it.
I do swear a lot in my channel. But then this is the tipping point. This is what tipped me tonight. So then I went to the Huobi Global channel on YouTube. They've got over 30,000 subscribers. And they had 29 views for the same video. So
what
the heck? Yeah, what is going on with these crypto videos on YouTube? I know my quality is good. Trust me, I'm my own biggest critic, right?
Well, you're using the right kind of mic. You sound good. I mean,
I could venture
you're talking about stuff. You have a pleasant voice and appearance. I mean, you think that would be enough?
But it is enough. But for some reason, these streams aren't getting pushed to the right audience. Now, when people subscribe to you on a YouTube channel, they subscribe to you for one reason and one reason only. So when you release a new video, they get notified, right? Yep. 2-3 years ago, when YouTube brought out this bullshit notification button that ruined everything, right? Because people who subscribe don't even see the notification bell. They don't notice it consciously. They see it, but they don't process it. And they don't realize, I have to click this as well to get notifications. So
you don't even have the option. The bell doesn't come up on most other media sources. Like I watch it on an app on a smart TV. I watch most of my YouTube. And when you subscribe, there's no bell that comes up.
I didn't know that.
No, there's not. I do the same thing on a Samsung TV where I watch YouTube on there. Yeah.
No commenting either. So
yeah, same with Apple TV.
So now I feel like we as YouTubers are at a crossroads. What do we do now? A lot of us are pulling out great content. There's a lot of crap content too. That doesn't help. But when you have, for example, I've got nearly 4,000 subscribers, right? And if those 4,000 people aren't getting my videos and only 10 of them are getting it, the notification, we've got a serious problem here.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that. Yeah, I agree with you 100%.
Well, I mean, it started too. Like, I don't know if anybody here is familiar with the Corbett Report. He used to have a documentary out about the Fed.
The Colbert
It was
Report?
actually honest. No, Corbett. Corbett. And you can still go to corbettreport.com and check out his stuff. This guy was the original conspiracy realist. He was onto all of this shit years before it started happening. And he was one of the first to get purged. They actually had somebody on the congressional record say, this documentary comes up when you search the Fed and it talks trash on the Fed and it's gross and it's a conspiracy theory. It needs to be taken down. And the same day, you search for the Fed, and that went from the #1 video about the Fed to off the map. You actually had to be able to navigate directly to it. These guys are manipulating this stuff, and I wouldn't be surprised if they're suppressing crypto, because right now the establishment is on its heels.
Oh, and bro, that's another thing. Keywords in the back end of the streams. Keywords don't prove anything anymore, because I also did a little bit of investigating into that. All right. Now, if you go to a YouTube video, right button click around it, and you go to inspect source, and then look up a keyword in the code, Control F, and type in keyword, you'll see what keywords that video has, right?
Yep.
For individual videos that the human actually put in themselves. And then, look, I know Richard Hart, for example, is not the most liked character in the space. I've got no issue with him. I've interviewed him. He's a really nice guy, to be honest. He just puts on a show. But he's got a huge following, right? I think now, what was he up to? 250,000 subscribers, I think. Something like that. You know what keywords he uses in his video? Richard Hart. That's it. Richard Hart. That's it. One keyword.
Uncanny.
Yep.
It reminds me of when I used to do streaming for musicians and stuff, and we had somebody come into the venue, and we always put in a few keywords to help them, like, oh, if people are looking for your style of music or you. And like, I thought he was like full of himself, but it worked. He just put in rock and roll. What else?
Or maybe it's like, how on Den Social, so on Twitter, we always thought, use as many hashtags as possible to help things. And then on Den Social, like Amanda was showing me on some of my demo things, she was like, okay, this is the reverse. You'll actually get like dinged for over hashtagging. What if they've changed the algorithms on YouTube to like ding people for over keywording?
Well, that's part of the thing that I was going to offer as an opinion there. Is like, I think that the thing there is you don't know, right? With Den, for example, since you brought it up, we're very transparent on everything. In fact, every single change, if we change the algorithm, that is a DAO vote that every single denizen that has an account, even if they have 0 tokens, have never put in a dime, if they've ever been here helping us build with sweat equity, they get a vote. So we're super transparent. And so, if we did something like that, where we changed something that, this is getting too much attention over there, in our opinion, it would have been a decision by the community and completely transparent.
Right.
And so my thing is like, with what Darko was talking about, there's a lot of reasons that could be, right? And we actually don't know. We don't know. And so that's a lot of the reason to build on a platform that's better, which is that you can know, and even if you're wrong, at least you're wrong about something.
Well, and that's that raises an interesting point, I think, because the open sourcing of these algorithms has to happen if these aren't going to be transparent platforms like a DAO where you get to vote on what changes. Even if I were going to propose a change to the way that would work for algorithms on Den, I would propose that every algorithm change is a trial period, where even if it's a successful change, there still has to be a confirming vote that reauthorizes it. And after a period but only after a period of seeing how it impacts everybody. And, giving the people who changed the most in where they're ranked, a front and center option to speak on it. Because you would be able to tell that. You'd be able to tell who's not getting ranked up anymore. But I don't think YouTube's doing it innocently.
Well, if you assume they're doing it innocently, you have to assume that they're just trying to keep away spam to help people and keep away fraud. But then you look at
that's why there's 1,000 bots. That's why they care so much. And you assume that because there's a bot on this stream right now. Want to become famous? Buy followers.
Why do you think you have the option of auto-generated closed captioning without having to do any work?
Yeah.
It's
Oh yeah.
because
No,
the
that's
text-to-speech
you're the
engine is
product,
feeding
man.
it through keyword filters and bots. That's
But
the only
I mean,
reason.
I think we're past the point where we can credibly stare reality in the face and say that any of this is innocent, right?
Well, can I give you one more example? I'm looking at Altcoin Buzz on YouTube right now. They've got 373,000 subscribers. They did a video yesterday, 1.2 thousand views. Out of 373,000 subscribers, 1,200 people watched it.
Okay, but a lot of times I thought with some of those accounts, and I'm not accusing Altcoin Buzz of anything, but a lot of times you would see these accounts with very large followers that may or may
they're not
not
one of those
have
ones, yeah.
been purchased.
Well, yeah, that's
because
true.
then their
Also,
views did not match with their.
But if you're a channel that's been around for a while, like my channel, 70% of them were from the first run, and a lot of those are just they don't care anymore.
Okay.
A lot of those bells aren't hit because YouTube will unsubscribe your subscribers.
That's true.
Just check some of the stuff.
I have people tell me that all the time.
Yeah, and they'll notice that, but they won't notice the bell. They'll change the bell on everybody all the time.
Oh, yeah.
And like Draco said, you have to go in and check because you're like, I'm still subscribed. I don't know why I'm not getting notified. That I have such a huge problem with.
Yeah.
I've had my friends contact me saying,
and it's like, oh, I didn't get notified.
Yeah, I've had personal friends of mine in real life come up to me or call me and say, did you do a stream? I go, yeah, I didn't get notified. And I've got the notification bill on. I'm like, I don't know what to say to you. I don't know. And it's happened so many times. My friends and my family, so many times.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and it's not even just on YouTube. I saw a post on Twitter the other day by one of my people that I follow, and one of my mutuals, I guess. They had a comment that they wanted to reply to from that they just stumbled across because they were searching, and they found this account that was saying it. They got an alert when they tried to post a reply, and it was that they had this person muted. And when they looked at their mute list and scrolled through it, the mute had been applied, and they had never even met this person.
And that's a good point. I've heard that's happening a lot more. Mm-hmm. And someone said, "Oh yeah, Coca-Cola in the chat said people barely understand this stuff." I have friends who don't understand anything. I have friends that still say the computers, and then they do their hands like this. Oh, the computers. It's mind blowing. So there's
Darko.
You know to go in and unmute someone.
Darko on our group chat with the Huobi team, Mr. X, who has been a friend of mine on YouTube or followed my channel for a long time. He's like, hey, Lisa, will you go in and unblock me on Twitter? And I was like, I never blocked you on Twitter.
Oh, wow. I'll give you a fun activity to do. Go to your Twitter and look up the people you're actually following on Twitter. Because the last time I did this, I apparently was following about 47 different Chinese news agencies on Twitter. Huh. I'm not joking. It was ridiculous.
You should call the U.S. Department of Defense, because they have a tip line now that if you call them and you catch a Chinese op, they'll pay you like $100,000 reward.
You gonna report their own op to them? Come on.
Sorry. Yeah, try that one, Lisa. Try that one.
Someone said, Czar said 15th says bots should be illegal. There's so many things that could be done. They're just not because they don't want to.
Bots should just be declared.
It'll expose stuff. Like Musk. I don't think Musk is worried about having to go to court for anything when it comes to Twitter, because he'll force everything to be put into record in court. Right. And nobody wants that to happen.
He'll just file a subpoena and get all the stuff they refuse to get him at court order.
Exactly.
If in fact
that's related to what I was getting
Twitter
at.
has to obey the courts still.
Yeah, like when it comes down to it, if we can get a baseline of like something we can look at and say, oh, here's what's true, then I mean, that's just what we need, right? Now, we haven't had anything to record objectively until now, so we have to do it we have to go dig up emails and convince the government to let us see what they've been doing behind closed doors, like with the Ripple case and the time in speech and stuff like that. If we can have something that's independently verifiable, that's where we really get power to anybody who has the time to look into it.
That reminds me, guys.
If things went to court, I mean, if there is no impartial information, then like an attorney general's office would have to investigate the bots on Twitter to find out what if Musk had had a good reason, and if that happens, that's the end of that. And then that could also expose. Imagine if like the Florida AG did it, or Texas, and the crap that they would find, the collusions that they would run into with multiple countries.
Since you almost said it, what is
Bottom line is,
what's the argument for doing this, Sean? What do you think? What do you think let's say that we're on the other side of the spectrum here, and we were like trying to justify censorship for their own good.
Well, state power, man. Like if you don't
It's
if you
not
don't
even
have
about
control of the narrative, then any lie you're telling, to maintain or grow your power base, that lie will be only possible to maintain.
Like, are we built
if you
on
can
lies to
suppress
the
the
point
truth.
where introducing proof would then collapse society, basically?
Yeah,
This
when
is
you
gonna
rule by
Well,
lies,
definitely can
truth
collapse
is
a lot of
enemy
the way
number one.
society is being directed. I was talking with Lisa about this, and I've had some deep thoughts on this the past week. Look, like stepping back and looking at when things went crazy, when men could get pregnant, when the men were in women's sports, when the whole line was starting to get blurred. I think the larger picture is credit science.
My little sister played college tennis. She would have not been able to make that team if trans women could play.
Well, I'm gonna tell you. I'll tell you a private conversation, which was not the most flowery. So
Sean's walked into a topic I was about to just walk.
Wait. Before we leave the Twitter bot thing, I really want to give my 2 cents on this, because I really think this has less to do with censorship and more to do with it exposing
That's what I was going to say as well.
the number of people in the country and the world. And Uncle Cliff hit on it last night on his latest video. Sorry, they're mowing in my front yard, so
all good.
I hope you can't hear all that noise.
How dare you?
How dare they mow on Thursday mornings? But anyway, the census has been messed with since the turn of the century, and the bots are this is just the tip of the iceberg. There are not as many people in the world, and there's not as many people on Twitter as you think. And this goes back to other things that we count that I will not mention, because we don't want to lose our access to being able to stream through this platform. And that is what this is about. That the bots are also other things in paper form.
You're talking about? Are you talking about the depopulation agenda?
No, I'm not.
No, show us something completely different. Just that things are.
I'm talking about
the deviewership agenda.
Things that you
women's sports
give.
Here's Lisa sent me stuff. Old
that you get counted
Brittany, and she's a dude.
Yeah.
Look at those current pictures now when she's like in handcuffs. That's the biggest damn Adam's apple I've ever seen.
Because she hasn't had her hormone therapy while she's been in prison there.
Well, those pictures are old that you sent me.
Well, I think those are from before her transition.
So
just to be clear here, we're talking about like fairness and competition, not necessarily.
No, I'm talking about scams. This goes along with bots. This is false.
Okay.
I can be, and I used to be, a second-rate athlete. I had scholarships to like 5 different universities and colleges. Me and my friends talked about being walk-ons for NFL teams. Like we were looking at playing in the Canadian League and the Arena Football League, just to let you know my age. So I was all right. Now, if I went and played against women, I would crush them. I mean, just into dust. The women's soccer team, who there was all that drama over. They played like a a junior high team or a high school team and got beat. I mean, it's there's differences, and this goes along with blurring those lines of science, because you're not supposed to say there's differences, and there's differences. But so I could be a second tier athlete, great high school, mediocre college. That's it. But I could be married to the woman of my dreams, great relationship, awesome, real, super in love. I could just say, I'm a woman and I'm gay. I'm still married to my wife. I still have my life, and I'm now in the top 5% of everyone in my sport.
It's absolutely true. I mean, like, it's 2 + 2 = 4, right? It is the right to say the obvious truth. You know, like, I mean, I can literally, I'm probably going to get us in trouble for this, but I'm going to say it out loud because every kindergartner can say it, and it's usually a class joke. Boys have a penis, girls have a vagina.
You did not just say that. No.
If you were on my channel, I would have played the clip, man. I got the clip ready.
And I want to just elaborate a bit on what Sean and Lisa just said over the last few minutes. What I've learned from all this lately is, in the beginning, we were led to believe censorship. But now it's not so much about censorship as it is about the exposure. Because I'm telling you now, if I had 10 subscribers and I produced a video of myself wearing a dress, walking down a catwalk holding another man's hand in a dress, I'd have over 1 million views. It's the agenda and the exposure.
Or with a child.
Oh, don't even. Blah.
Well, you can call. See, that's when you're getting into gray areas. You can call it an algorithm, or you can call it an agenda. It's all kind of the same thing. And the algorithm, air quotes, supports the agenda. That's just the way it is. That's common sense.
If I may step in and say something that might be unpopular.
Sure, Mr. Liberal.
I don't necessarily say, yeah, and this is my lefty take on things, I guess, but I don't. There's a difference between gender and sex, right?
Yeah, no,
now
you're getting to the right way to talk about it.
Right. In my opinion, the sex of a biological organism and the gender of that organism is the difference between something scientific and social and socially constructed. And I can get down with that.
I'm beginning to see
that's a belief one can hold, but the question mark is,
with a real conversation like this,
being deplatformed for saying
with a real conversation like this, I can kind of see that point. And when people talk about it, I'm starting to see that point. But in the end, you have to bow to science. When I was young, women were not allowed to do a lot of things. My mom was like a pioneer. We got screwed when I was a kid. My mom ran, was the religious coordinator for all of Europe, for every military base, every branch of service. She was a general. She was a GS-13, which is like one of the highest positions you could have in the government. But she was still the GS is a government service worker. That's a rank. She still had to report to a military officer. Everything's cool. Literally, this is the truth. We're in Europe, and then it's the military. Her CO retired, and then a new guy came in, and he said, "Oh, I'm at the end of the year. I'm not renewing your contract. You're leaving. This job is too important for a woman to have." That's it. We're done.
Insane. I mean, and Sean, my mom had something similar when she was growing up. She couldn't run. She outran everybody in track and field in the 800-meter dash. They wouldn't let her run that in anything other than practice because her fragile heart would burst and fall over. She could outrun all the boys.
They could not do. But then there was protection. Like, they couldn't be a fire person because people's lives were in danger. People's lives were on the line, and they didn't have the strength. So then, and I was part of the feminist movement. I was like, "Hey, man, you need to have a test. If by case a woman can prove that she could do the job, she deserves to be hired as a fireman." And then, and everything went that way. And this is what's really frustrating, because the extremists are always right. I have learned that in my time on Earth.
Well, I think that's the point.
Are always right.
I think that's a lot of what I don't like about extremists is they're more concerned about being right than they are about,
Forget the feelings thing. Forget the concerns or feelings. What I've noticed, what I've seen is that whenever there's some kind of big change that's coming, and it's right to do the change, like gay marriage or whatever, people come across and they say, if you let the gays marry, then they're going to want to marry kids, and they're going to want to marry their cars, and people are going to want to marry animals.
100%.
And everyone's like, that's crazy. You're crazy. This isn't just about that. But it's all true. All of those things have come to pass. There's court cases now where people have tried to do that because it's always the fringe being pushed. And I think whenever we
so Darko,
we should make caveats that, hey man, this is crazy. You don't even think about cars, and something like that. Because if not, it just seems to go further and further.
I've got nothing against anybody's sexual preferences. I mean, the more gay people, the better for straight guys like us, because there's more women for us, right? All good, respect. But what I find, and I disagree with, the extremists are always right. I have to disagree there. I'll tell you why. Because I got kids in primary school, right? And they had gay appreciation week for the whole week. Kids in primary school. When I was in primary school, I didn't even know what sex was. Right? And they're forcing this shit down kids' throats.
I'm not talking about extremism that way. I'm talking about people who are against.
That's terrible.
That's extreme.
There's extremism on both sides, though.
They do not need to be sexualizing children, period. That's not an extreme view.
7-year-old
When I was a kid, it was 8th grade. 8th grade should not be, sex ed. And I had sex ed, and about half the class was like, all right. Half the class was laughing every time they said penis, every time they said vagina, so it
that's the same grade I got sex ed too, just for reference.
But now when they're talking about teaching it in like kindergarten, there's no reason kids need to know about that.
The government shouldn't be
teaching grade, you're starting to think about it, you're moving into it. Maybe there's a couple people that have made out or done whatever, but it's not in 5th grade. It shouldn't even be like, you shouldn't know it. There's so many things I remember sitting at the dinner table.
Kids do want to know it. Maybe parents want their kids to know it. The point is what parents want should dominate here, because the schools are government institutions. They should be fucking teaching.
And me and Darko have talked about that.
What they're doing is classically conditioning these kids.
What's changed so much now in America, and it's worse over there from what Darko told me, is that that's being taken away from parents. This last time when parents stood up and they were called terrorists, literally the sentiment on the left and on the fringe was, hey, we're the experts. You leave your children's education to us. Why
do you think Biden wants mandatory preschool that is to be taught by no religious preschools were to be allowed, and they wanted they had to be a master's degree, whatever, so fully indoctrinated people.
There's a definite movement to where parents to be discredited as, but I step back, and I think parents are trying to be discredited for any kind of control on their parent or their children, any kind of direction. It's not you're not a professional.
Hey, I'd love to keep going on this topic, but we do have a bunch of questions to get to, and
dude, we're not going without talking about my president and his son. I'm not gonna.
Okay, last word to you then.
Okay, this week I've watched my president's son weigh and mess with more crack that could get an entire neighborhood put in prison by his son, while watching a split screen of him talk about sending people with a quarter-sized piece of crack away to prison. Doesn't matter what the judge says.
Yeah, and taking all his personal property, and taking all of his money out of his bank, and punishing his family, and making sure he never gets hired for a job again. And so I think a lot of people have seen that.
Minimum. What? Screw those liberal judges. Put them away. Now, I've also seen in the president's son's phone, his father, that he loves.
That was a deep fake.
He has No.
It was. I actually can point to the app that will denude a man like that.
What? Are you talking
about? He was trying to make the chick naked.
Let's try to say his piece here.
No, he has his father listed in his contacts as pedo Pete.
Oh, what?
That's his father's. That's what he put into his phone.
This is true. Yeah, I've seen the same thing.
You know, honestly, it wouldn't freaking surprise me.
Now, he is an idiot. I mean,
Hunter's obviously an idiot. Why would you record everything that you're doing that you're trying to hide?
And then Trump's son said,
Come on.
Because he's been dropping off computers at that same
Yeah.
place and having them destroyed for a long time. He wasn't dropping that computer off to have it repaired. That is classic 3-letter agency. They have been doing that for protected families for a very long time.
I disagree.
I'm telling you, I know otherwise.
I'm telling you, I know
You can say he's an idiot.
Right.
But Trump Jr. put this out on Twitter. If he'll film this, imagine what he won't film.
Yeah, there we go.
I mean, it's not, like that's okay.
Turn that off. This is too
Imagine when you're
salacious.
doing something really bad, you're like, it'd be cool to film this, man. I mean, if he'll do that, what won't he film? And no,
What happens when the camera's off? Oh my god!
Right, and that's where I was like,
That,
and I kind of have the same question a little bit. I don't want to find out, but it's like this is if you look at how casual in that if you happen to see the data, it's out there now everywhere.
Yeah.
If you look at how casual the conversation is around some of these completely impeachable and compromising and blackmailable offenses, then it kind of makes you wonder, like, if this was the not so bad stuff, you know what I mean? It's like, oh, I'll do this. This isn't really bad, and so I'll put this on my personal device. Like
that one picture where he's got a bag over that girl's head and he's eating a sandwich.
Whatever. Yeah. I mean, not whatever. I don't know what the circumstances are there, but like, I'm not gonna pick apart his sexual habits, except for the parts that are highly illegal and immoral and should not be something that a president's son is doing without going to jail. And this is where something that I forget who said it a minute ago about, I forget, but the left and the right have something in common where and maybe I'm a little bit hopeful here. But the whole rules for thee, but not for me concept is kind of across the board being exposed right now. And I voted for Biden. I'll say that right now. And I voted for him because I knew he was going to fail miserably. I voted for Biden for the same reason that the founder of Pirate Bay voted for Trump. Because it's like, let's get it over with. Let's pull the Band-Aid off. Let's put somebody up there who's going to wreck shit because they're idiots, and we need to reset everything. Because and I wanted the left to see that their guy is not going to work either.
Well, the notion that any of those votes matter, that any of those positions matter more than to placate us with a puppet theater.
That's what I think is going to happen with this, or could possibly happen with this midterm, is that we're going to see the rhinos be exposed. And we'll see that the entire system is broken. It's not a right-left thing.
Auto signal, I think you're completely right.
It's authoritarians versus libertarians in this world. It's always been people who want freedom and people who don't. And this has been a long fight. The people who don't want it have been in power for a long time, and they've got a red puppet and they got a blue puppet, and they show them on TV. Mm-hmm. They're all doing the same damn thing.
Well, I think what Dave was saying, it's so obvious.
But we do have to get the questions, guys.
Whenever a reporter asks him a real question, he's like, "Oh, that's not true. You need to look at this," and it's obvious. And then I just hear Greg every time I get pissed. I just hear Greg sitting next to me go, like patting me. It's like, it's okay, man. They only know what they're told. Biden's not on YouTube and looking around and reading stuff. People are telling him, "Hey, you're doing great, man. You're doing great." Well, I heard about this. It says like 60% of all Democrats won't vote for me to be president. No, that's a fake. That's a fake poll. Because he'll talk to like a reporter will ask him that, and he literally said, "Oh, it's a fake poll."
And
there's it's fake. Yeah, it's fake. They told me it's fake.
Yeah, and there's where I come in on your other shoulder and say that's the point. Nobody knows if it's fake or not. We have to get everything onto platforms that are provable and transparent and
I think verifiable. Also we have to change the narrative.
And I think that's a good segue into the questions.
One more thing. I think Dave hit it. Instead of saying, "Hey, look at this. He should be arrested and blah blah blah," I think we should flip it and say, hey, look at what they can get away with and you can't. Look at the rules for them and not for you.
And I think that's the only way to get through to people who disagree with you about
people angry enough
points. Yeah.
And to get through, because people will be like, oh, no, it's different for him than for Trump and this. And well, everyone has a problem with this and everyone's got a family member. Make it personal. No, I think if you push that thing, that is the one thing that'll get through to people and get people pissed enough to do what the Dutch are doing and stand up. Okay, let's go.
Okay, question time.
So about raising capital.
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead. Thank you, Sean. I'm glad we got that in there. And I'm, I wasn't sure where we were going with that when you said, no, we got to talk about this, but I'm glad you put your foot down there.
Fair enough, man. And I wasn't trying to be pushy. I just want to make sure that all our folks listening get a chance to have their questions heard too.
It's current events, dude. To just talk about YouTube stuff for us, that's a little liberal minded, or what's the word?
Self-censoring.
It's a little elitist. It's like, it's the you eat cake. We're talking about this stuff. It's important to us.
Greg, can you read this, or should I bring? I'm driving backstage today as well, so let me know if you need this.
Okay, so we're just going to read the questions and talk about it. This is again the format where we just jump in, and as Coca-Cola suggested earlier, we're going to try not to talk over each other as much as we can, because the way that streams work, you get bits and pieces of all of the audio and none of the exact stream. That they don't really have multiple channels on at the same time, so we can make things clear for you guys. All right, so I am for I am. Question number 1 asks, will we see an ICO boom again, especially in a bad economy? When I say ICO, I'm referring to IDOs and IEOs too. Most projects during this ICO boom were likened to the vaporware that was created during the .com boom. Okay. So who wants to start with that one?
No, I don't think so. I think this is what taking a step back. Always got to take a step back. We're at the beginning of the discovery of oil. We're at the beginning of a discovery of uranium. Or the use. We're at the beginning of a brand new asset. So everything that happens is historic. Literally, this is like the first time. The first ICO boom. There's so many things that are happening that is the community, is the institutions are being formed. It's like a one-time thing.
It's like a window of opportunity.
Like in the 20s, everybody was getting rich from the stock market. Everybody. It was like the ICO boom. And then it was the biggest, crash, and we had a depression. And then it wasn't everybody anymore. It was back to, just people that had a lot of money were investing in the stock market. But way back then, the stock market was like the crypto market was in 2016, 2017, 18. Everybody was involved. Cabbies were like talking stock tips with, stockbrokers in New York. It was like everybody was in on it, and everybody was just getting rich. It was just everything's going up. So I don't think it's going to happen again. I think a lot of it. I think the vaporware is, or just an idea, or even scams are so much less this time around, and I think it's just going to get less and less, more and more sophisticated.
Yeah, I would say 2 things to that Sean. One, I think the vaporware is a natural product of a free market economy working. Right, you're going to have all of the things that did not thrive and succeed, whether they were under thought through or under executed, or just ideas that had no problem to solve, or that people didn't want to solve. Those things are just going to fail. And a healthy market has tons of those. A healthy market has tons and tons of those, more than we even had in this last round. The 2017, 2018 period was the most free market behavior we've seen in any kind of equities market, if you want to call it that. And I don't think that's a fair characterization. I think that is an SEC preference, because they would regulate every cent email as a security if they could. But I do think that that this is a foundational technology, meaning it's going to work its way through every sector and make itself known there in how it's applied. And it's going to be different. And then there are all these use cases that have no connection to anything we've ever done before, because it was too overhead intensive, for instance, for you to finance your toothbrush at the grocery store. and too overhead intensive to make it so that your favorite video game character from the high score on a pinball machine across the street can come home to your home console as an NFT. Like these types of things just couldn't be done without a coordination mechanism this efficient. So I think that we're going to see more and more amazing things coming. And I think that the key limiter is regulatory clampdown on it and trying to define it into an old world box so that they can understand how to point guns at it when they want to.
I think you hit on two things that I just wanted to touch on again, because I highly agree that, like, basically there's a lot of proof of concepts. Talked about vaporware and things like that. A lot of really good ideas are vaporware, but they were proof of concepts and kind of an MVP for something that was developed later, and somebody stood on the shoulders of that GitHub project and built something better and more awesome out of it. I think that also, so we're starting to see things right now they're launching have a much more mature plan of action for like long-term viability and economics and utility and things like that. So we have that. And also I think that some things that fundamentally and almost ideologically we thought was going to work didn't work. And that is the censorship part and being shut down for trying to compete and things like that. And so just, you've seen like different experimentations with, okay, if we're not, I'm in the US, for example, right? So if we're not allowed to do it this way, can we do an IEO? Can we do an airdrop? No, you can't do an airdrop. Okay, can we do a lot of R&D has just been back and forth with regulators to see what, as humans, we're allowed to do in this country to build a business and to compete with the incumbent companies, right? And obviously, it's not a fair playing field,
right?
But a lot of that is into privacy by default, or the concept of that, at least, right? We're nowhere near that yet, but the kinds of things that are being laid out are like, okay, how do we do this anyway without being stomped into the ground by, for example, YouTube doesn't want to compete with library, so somebody makes a phone call and says, hey, you should probably charge them with sale of unregistered securities.
Right.
That kind of shit happens.
And the crazy DHS Information Suppression Bureau gave the SEC head a call when he saw that, holy shit, one of the first projects out of the gate is going to be a decentralized streaming platform. Like, they don't want that. With a force of 1,000 suns, don't want that, because that can't be gate kept. Right.
And when the arguments are not logical, and the arguments, that our regulators are making for applying regulation in by request, instead of just allowing the free market to compete and innovate, it's, I don't know. I have to be careful about the tinfoil hat thing. I don't want to go too far down that rabbit hole, but it's becoming increasingly obvious that and more people I think are seeing that the whole fucking game is rigged. And
and skepticism about that is a weapon they use against everybody too. I mean, like the fact that there is this conspiracy theory, I mean, that was invented by the CIA as well. And it is a smear, right? You saw them accuse Julian Assange of smearing poop on the walls at the fucking embassy he was staying at.
Right.
I mean, this is insanity.
Well, you know what? And maybe he did. Because put somebody in isolation away from everything in the world that he knows and loves for years and see what happens to his mind. I wouldn't be surprised if he did smear shit.
If he did, I wouldn't hold it against him at this point. Why is that news? Is my question. But setting that aside, right? Like let's Lisa and Darko have not yet commented on this question. Do you guys have anything that you want to throw in?
Lisa?
Well, I was just going to concur with what you guys were saying. I think we talked about this I think last week, just the idea, they were in the idea phase, and then we're going to see things implemented. And from that, things are going to fall away. And I think it goes into the next question, which kind of makes it like, well, they've kind of set everybody up for failure, because you either play their game and you have to go into their system of the SEC registered securities, which then we don't get to be, we're trying to be outside of the system with cryptocurrency and do things in an alternative. We're trying to build a new system.
Yeah, I would say we're being
they're
forced
trying
outside.
and they're trying to lock us in the old way. And that's exactly what we're trying to break out of. So it's like, well, you're being forced to be an outlaw, to innovate. So I don't know what that's going to look like. I think it'll be very interesting to
Cool.
see. So,
Darko, what are your thoughts?
So the question was, will we see an ICO boom in the bad economy? No, I don't believe we will. Reason being is because of the obvious, the inflation situation, amongst many other factors. People don't have as much money to spend anymore, and to spend it on things that aren't necessities. Buying into an ICO,
invest as much as you're willing to lose. Not willing to lose.
Yeah, but people don't have much to lose. That's the problem now.
Yeah.
So as the cost of living goes up, people will spend much less, on things such as, I might try get a stash of these coins or those ones, or I might go to the casino. They'll just start cutting all that stuff out so they can have just enough money to put food on the table and pay the bills and have a roof over their heads. So as inflation keeps going up and the cost of living keeps rising, we're going to see less and less and less people spreading their money to the unnecessary things. Because seriously, crypto is not necessary. It's not a necessity in life, right? Food is a necessity. A roof over your head is a necessity. And if you have to sell your crypto to keep those things in your life, then that's what people are doing right now. They're selling. Why are people selling for the last few months? People keep saying, oh, scam coins and rug pulls. No, it's not about that. People are selling because they're minimizing their risks. So if you have shares and you have crypto and you wake up tomorrow and you see that the shares are dropping like hell, you're going to rush to your crypto before that does the same thing and minimize your risks by selling off and pulling out. So until we see a bounce back, we will not see a bounce in ICOs.
It's a good point, because I think this time now, I think we're living in a historic times. We've had every country tell us there's going to be food shortages. There's going to be these horrors that are coming. And then if you just look at history, and I always say history repeats itself. If you just look at history, when those things happen, it's really, really bad in other ways. There needs to be, and if you look at traditional, finance people like Economic Ninja, he always talks about this. Once you get to 40% of your income that's just for food, that's when you have food riots. That's when you have people that's scientifically over and over again. And I always say I'm so glad what happened in Canada and not some other country, because it was proof it could happen everywhere. It knocked Americans off their high horse.
Well, coming soon to a theater near you, though.
It can't happen here. There's nowhere it can't happen if it happened in Canada. Period. You can have it in America.
Canada's wild. That's for sure.
Well,
there's a lot of
we've got Sweden and we've got Sri Lanka, or not Sweden, but the Netherlands. We got Sri Lanka, right? This is rolling across the globe, and I think that the next ICO boom will not occur until after this existing system collapses, and they are actively trying to collapse it.
Yeah, maybe then. But like Darko was saying, and like I was saying, we're living in these turbulent times that traditional experts, rich dad, poor dad guy, Kiyosaki. Thank you. He said, you can't eat gold. You can't eat Bitcoin. It's time for people to look at adding cans of tuna and beans to their portfolio because of what's coming.
Right. You're talking about marginal utility, right? The idea that a bottle of water is worth way more than all the gold in the world to somebody who's dying of thirst.
That's when you start understanding what money is and what currency is.
But if you live right next to Niagara Falls, you could give a shit less if somebody's trying to sell you water at a markup.
Right, but then you have antibiotics, you have alcohol, you have lead. Then those things take on a much higher value. So then you can see that's money. This is paper. I can't even go cash this in. I can't trade this for anything. This has no real, and then you get it turns back to the ICO. What's the real utility? What's the real problem this solves?
I like how you brought that back to hard money, Sean.
Yeah.
Yep. So, should we go to the next question, you guys? Or is there anything else on this one?
Also, if you look in the chat, I want to ask you guys about a scam. the one he's talking about, scammers that contact you, they give you their private key and their mnemonic seed words, and they want help to move USDT. I've gotten probably 20 or 20 emails, or not emails, but DMs, just doing this. And I don't understand how the scam works, but it's obvious it's a scam. It's coming from different places.
Yeah, it seems like a variation of the Nigerian prince scam, where it's like, I've got all this wealth, I just need help moving it. Can I use your bank account as an intermediary? That kind of thing. It's probably I've not seen it.
That one's still honeypot.
You know what? If someone gave you someone else's private key so you can withdraw their funds for them, you're the one who's actually doing the theft, not the scammer.
True. Maybe they bought a key online, and they just need someone to launder it through so that they get arrested instead.
Exactly.
This is why everybody on Earth needs to remember this, and we need to repeat it as often as possible. Never give those words away. There is no reason to give those words away other than stealing from you. Never give those words away. Again,
I had my nephew start a wallet.
away.
He's like, okay, here's the private key. He's like, text me everything. Here's these words. What do I do with it? I was like, dude, you can't do that.
You burn them.
And don't even take a picture of them because
start over now.
Yeah,
right. And also get a hardware wallet. You
photos.
can really get one for cheap. Buy it direct from the manufacturer though, because there are cases where people hack them before they sell them on eBay or Amazon or whatever.
Or Amazon.
Yeah, that was a big thing.
But setting that aside, this ICO notion is one that we'll have to keep an eye on, because I think that there is going to be a mode of rebellion coming. I don't think that we are going to see as many people so willing to comply, and I think that the decentralized model of the projects that did not experience this collapse is going to be a guide stone for people who are building going forward, and that means less need for a faux stance of compliance to keep people at bay. So that'll be an interesting thing to watch. But on to the next question. We have
the one Huddle Signal did reply to the previous question and said raising capital will most likely deem you an unregistered security in the U.S. government's SEC.
I thought that was do you think, but yeah, okay,
gotcha. Yeah, so that was the reply.
And to Huddle Signal's point, actually, I have an article we can put in the show notes that I wrote a while back about why the SEC's model is broken, and it's because it's built on old technology or assumptions based on old technology. Wrote this thing a while back, but it goes into pretty deep detail and research.
We need to do the damn show, which just current events. I'm telling you, man, pissing me off.
Anyway, so we've got Kratos, God of Boy, asks, what's the best way for a small MC coin to raise money through venture capital or capital firms like Pantera Capital and Coinfund? I'm just going to chime in on this one first. With your principles intact, go in honest about what you intend to do, what you intend to create, so that the people that invest in you, never have an opportunity to say, well, how about we sell out like this and sell it like that and change it like this or change it like that so we can make money. Go in knowing what you're not willing to use this thing to make money for, because otherwise it runs the risk of getting compromised by your investors.
So that's not necessarily how to access VCs, but how to pitch to them in a way that would not give them ammunition or give them leverage to change your vision later on. Is that kind of?
Well, I'm saying that they respect honest pitches.
It's one of the reasons I asked Darko to be on, because we've worked on different projects together. But Darko headed a project. This is before Dan. Headed a project, and it was good. I advised on it. It was the goal was a total decentralized social media platform that mirrored Facebook and MySpace and Twitter. It was like they took some of the best of all that stuff and wrapped it in. It worked awesome. Like you had more customization on your page. You could have music, all the things that Facebook's trying to move to now. They built it. It was great.
What's it called?
But raising capital was very difficult. And it was, at the tail end of the last winter. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to have Darko on, because he has and I do both, trying to raise capital. And there's a lot of stuff behind the scenes where, you can bird dog out if people can bring you VCs or friends or so on. You get a piece of the cheddar. That's always, there also. And
Absolutely.
The Supreme Court is about to rule on something that could or has already started putting stuff out that will repeal all gun control, all of it. To make the National Firearms Act from the 1930s it be no more. So that's something that we have to have the show that's just current events.
Darko, you got to tell us a little bit more about this platform. I had not heard of this.
Oh yeah, it was the final product wasn't eventually developed for reasons that I won't discuss publicly.
It was nice,
but it was a one-stop shop, all in one, everything in one, social media platform, basically, like literally everything all in one. So it went into an alpha phase, and due to some certain regulations, if that's the correct terminology, or laws, pretty much had to come to a stop, unfortunately.
Holy shit.
Yeah, I'm not going to say too much more publicly.
Okay, well, I got a great idea. Learn more about this from you behind closed doors, man. We got to talk. I'm curious.
Yeah. So, it was a fantastic idea. I had everything going for it, and it was just a shame that it didn't proceed. I guess everything happens for a reason. Maybe there'll be another time in the future when it will be a right time to launch a fully decentralized, all-in-one, everything-in-one social media platform.
So it'd be like a decentralized, what's the platform that China uses, right? Was it WeChat or something like that?
WeChat, I think. Yeah, WeChat.
That's the one that's like 1,000 apps in an app. It's a chat platform. It's a streaming platform. It's
something similar to that. Yeah.
That's pretty neat, and it's a shame that got shut down. I hope that when I learn more about it, that I'm not going to want to just
no worries.
Darko, you said that you said something about how Facebook is trying to move back towards customization of your profile and personalization and things like that. I remember that being the big thing, going as somebody who quote unquote moved from MySpace to Facebook, made the switch. It was like it went from Candyland, do whatever you want, to rigid structure.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. It's like you must use your actual real first name and last name. And you must everyone's page must be uniform and look exactly like this.
And
it's like they're going back or whatever. Maybe MySpace had something going on. I don't know.
I'd like to add unless Lisa, you have something to add to this, I'd like to add a little bit of additional context about raising for an idea.
Right ahead.
Because just a little bit of background, Rivet, the company that I currently co-found with Austin and Beth, my two really great friends from basically 20 years back, or almost 14 years back now. We go back a ways. We started this idea around an order book for decentralized exchanges on 0x, but we ended up building infrastructure that was really easy to operationalize, and that ended up being our project. Like, we ended up making node infrastructure that you could scale. And we did that with a team of 4, which is kind of crazy. But when we went out to fund it, the hardest thing to learn was how to pitch and what to pitch on. What story do you tell about your project? And the story that you tell is really what matters, because all venture capital is seeking to do is this one thing. They're looking to identify companies that could be gigantic if they existed gigantic today. And you could force as much resource into growing them as you could possibly force into them, that they would scale up just so rapidly because it's already a big company. It just hasn't been created yet. So the idea is fund a giant company, expose it to people, and it will grow into that if you spend a whole bunch of money on it to get it there right now. And so, the story you need to tell if you want to grow this thing is, why does everybody on Earth need this? Why does everybody on Earth want this? Why will everybody on Earth use this? If it's not that scale, it's not the right kind of project. It also has to be something that needs that funding to get there. So you can't talk about profits. You have to talk about growth. And it's a weird thing for a business person to do, but learn to tell a growth story. And that's really the key.
Because like with Den, we don't or haven't done that, right? We're just building the thing. And so it's just like, no, this exists actually, and it is working and it's going to work. And I feel like what you're saying is the VC pitch there would be, for example, if we were to do that, would be like, no, it's working and it's there, but we could accelerate it and bring it closer to present. If you were to come in on it,
how do we make this huge fast?
It's a good one. I like it.
So that'd be my 2 cents. Should we, Lisa, did you have anything you wanted to add?
No, I'm taking notes.
Sergeant 15 said something about when the government gets regs in place, ICOs will go through the roof, which I think kind of goes into what we've been talking about. I think there was a time where there were a lot of projects that pulled back and were waiting for that regulatory framework that, like Joe makes the point all the time, people that he's talked to, they just want to know what they can do to not get in trouble. Like, tell us what the framework is so we can build something and work within that framework. So I think that is a point whenever there is some kind of like real structure that I think we will see a definite surge in projects that have been kind of pulled back or waiting to get that.
Cool. Yeah, absolutely. So that said, unless of course the right answer is now is finally the freaking time, and it is time to start ignoring them because we're building parallel systems. And if you build your system the right way, the question isn't who's going to allow me. The question is who's going to stop me. And if you make the me your community, and I think this gets to the next question with Jacob Wayne asking, what are some examples of differences between raising capital in a legacy corporate environment versus in a cryptocurrency blockchain technology setting?
Oh, can I answer the last question because I didn't get a chance to ask?
Oh yeah, go ahead, Darko. Sorry, I didn't.
That's all right. That's all right. So, what's the best way for a small market cap coin to raise money through a venture capital or blah 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 blah? The best way is your website. Make sure it's got no spelling errors on it. Because as an investor myself, spelling errors put me off. It tells me that they're not taking themselves seriously. They're not hiring the right people to go over their work. The face of their brand is the website. So spelling errors is a big forget about it for me. Teams, names, and faces. If you want to raise money, you better show who's behind the team. Real faces, real names, real links. All right. There's a lot of websites out there that come out, want to raise money, and you don't know who's behind the project. Or you see about our section and you're seeing a meme of an ape or a dog or a banana and nicknames as the names underneath. Now, venture capitalists, people with millions of dollars looking for that next big thing, are not going to throw away $5 million to a company that's using meme pictures as the founder. And the founder's name is Dog Shark or something like that. Right? Like they're dreaming. They're absolutely dreaming. So there's that. There's obviously the use. What's the use case of the project? What's the ambition? But from what I've understood by talking through various networks of my own people, is right now in these times, yes, we are in a bear market, but most in potential big investors, they're shying away from funding projects. But the ones that aren't shying away, the most important thing to them, and I've heard this straight from the source's mouth, the most important thing for them right now in this bear market is longevity. They want to make sure.
Question back up, or when you bring the question back up?
They want to make sure that the project that they're going to invest in is going to last long term, because the longer it goes on for, the more money that comes in potentially. In theory, that's what they hope for anyway.
I think right now the answer to this question is there is none. If Joe was on here, I think he would tell you there is none.
Well, I think Darko's right.
I want to be honest here. I want to be very honest. I want to put the cards on the table, especially with Darko here. You asked specifically about a small, like micro cap coin. I don't think that they're going to raise money through venture capital, like Pantera no. I think the way that they do is through influencers growing their community and getting that influx.
It's a different story geographically too, though. It's not everybody's not
a little bit, but like Darko and I.
I think you have one.
First off, Darko is a schizophrenic.
Ah!
When it comes to like his YouTube channel and just him in general is like way out there. And then he flips it when it's about business and he throws on a tie and he's like the most straight arrow. I'm kind of the same all the time. He very different when it comes to business.
Yep.
Now, but just to put this out there, Darko and I found a coin. Darko found it the first day, told me about it. Within, what did we do? Within a week. It was just.
I was hassling you every day, man. Every day I was hassling
just the two of us. We did what, 150x?
Something close.
Yeah. So micro cap is still the same way. I think if you want to raise capital, it's still kind of the same old school. If you don't have the money, you have to get it out there. You have to get it heard about. You have to get trending on CoinMarketCap. And when you get that momentum, you have to keep pushing.
Yeah.
But the way to do that is to pay CoinMarket as bribes.
Well,
to pay.
That's not true though, because look at what's happening with Colt and Revolt right now. This is the bear market. This is the mother of motherfucking bear markets, and those are counter trend constantly. Revolt's up something like 130% on the day since its launch.
Oh, good.
And the Colt token has resisted drop against ETH pretty much every time it's plummeted. It's stayed around where it's at right now, and it's come up. These are projects that are recession launches, right? And VCs will look for those. So don't count yourself out. Just don't give yourself too much hope, right? Like there's no reason not to try.
Well, they have an organized and like they have something that everybody can get on board with, like ideologically too. Like Darkin just said, it's not unicorn fart coin or something like that.
Right.
No, it goes back to what Sean said. It's about the strong community that they have too. It goes back to what Sean says.
Microcap, yeah. I think when it comes to like VCs, in my opinion, my experience in working on projects and trying to raise money, it's just like a banker. They don't care who you are. They don't really care what you want. It's not like it used to be where you got a suit on and you say the right things. And it's like they look, your credit score is this, income is, it's like a checklist.
Bankers, it's different. It's the opposite.
Here's your money.
Bankers reject people because of who they are personally. VCs choose people because of who they are personally.
But not like the ones they're talking about. But the question was like the big one.
The question was about VCs.
Seed stage is by the founder. They're investing in the founder.
Pantera and stuff. A lot of that is just like Hollywood executives. So can you check these boxes? Can we get this? I want to, more boobs, whatever. It's like applying for loans online now. It literally doesn't matter if you have a bunch of tattoos. It doesn't matter, and all these things that used to matter so much. It's just
right. They've replaced it with a FICO score, though.
Yeah, it's just a
so it's still taking a pool of people and
now it might be you live in this area.
Their mistakes.
People in this area we don't like. People in this area are more apt to not pay their bills. But there's when it comes to, I think, in my opinion and my experience, you when it comes to VCs, a lot of it is just knowing what to say, what to appear as, and what, just so they can check the certain boxes.
I don't know. I think the right answer.
If you go in and like, hey, this is this, and I also like to eat kids. They're like, okay. Well, you check all these boxes.
Sean, I really don't think that venture capitalists are, at least the ones I've talked to, are quite like that. And this just from my own experience. Like we did manage to raise from two different partners for a seed round. We picked up 1.5 million for Rivet, and the way that they decided was based on who we were as people, and they decided that based on how we presented ourselves honestly. Like they're looking for a sense of an honest person with an idea that they can. But
I think you're talking about like micro cap VCs. Then the question, Pantera and those that was.
Well, those guys aren't going to be in seed stage stuff.
Yeah, that's why I said right when we started. Like they're not going to. Yeah, I don't think they're going to in this, especially in this bear market. But when it comes to like, it's just the faceless. It's like the faceless VCs. It's like faceless corporations. Whenever you get to that level of like funding, it's a different game. That I think it's more about just checking certain boxes. Once you get to that level, once you're asking for 100 million instead of one, you're asking for like 140. That's a different. It's a different.
Like,
you have to be able to
start
justify what
looking?
you're going to do with
I
the money
wonder.
at that level for sure. But I think we should probably move on to the next question so we can get through as many as we can here.
They're very related, so we could easily keep the conversation going on the same topic because it's about sort of the same thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And what are some examples of differences between raising capital in legacy corporate environment versus a cryptocurrency blockchain setting is what Jacob Wayne asked. I think it's a great question to continue where we're headed.
I feel like Joe's is not here, but he's like taking control of my mind. I should get my actual tinfoil hat.
Yeah, channel Joe for us.
I think Joe would make this point, and one of the hardest things that he's talked about and that I found is overcoming in crypto versus corporate is overcoming the stigma that has been put out there that, you guys are just NFTs. No, it's completely, you look at all this, you can do all these things with NFTs. No, pictures of cats. No. You have to educate people on basically everything.
Yeah.
To get them to see the value before you even ask. Before you even talk about what your project is, you have to get them to want to get into crypto or overcome those stigmas to where they'll even listen.
And that's something that I've seen just with normal everyday people, right? Just talking. So Den, for example, Den Social, it's not Dragonchain, but it's built on top of Dragonchain. And whenever I talk to, I had to learn how to talk to people, because I would talk to people about what I thought they wanted to hear about, or what I thought was a good selling point, this and this, or I would see what's trending in social and be like, oh, they like that, we have that, yeah, let's talk about that. But no, people literally just don't understand what any of this is. And I think that's one big difference, is that if you're trying to sell a legacy idea to legacy people, they're going to understand it. But if you're trying to sell a brand new, fundamentally world-changing thing to somebody who's a legacy investor, they're not going to get it. They're just not going to understand what the hell you're talking about. But if you were able to, and this is what I try to do with Den today, is I try to just strip out any messaging that I can about blockchain and crypto and this and that, and it's about transparency, it's about anti-censorship, it's about being able, most importantly, to operate a platform like this without the influences of advertisers and without the targeted advertising and the tracking of user data and stuff like that being a new disruptive way to do it.
That's a good point, because so much that you're trying to show these people is revolutionary. It's game changing, and then when you put into that the fact that they could have been biased against it because they don't understand it, it makes me think of sci-fi and Star Trek. They go to a planet, someone sees something like, oh, you're a god. You're like, no, it's science. Let me tell you how science works. I'm not a god. I'm just a dude with this thing. And then, but if you look at it kind of the other way, it could be the same thing happen, and then the person's a witch, burn them, kill them. What? No, it's science, and I have this thing. So it's the same thing. You look up what people want. And you're like, oh, we can do this and that, and 10 times better. And you're like, who's the fuck the wizard with the beard?
The biggest difference is where you're going, right? A traditional company is going to be trying to get to IPO. That's where the venture capitalists and the founders cash out, right? Where they get their money. The difference with crypto is its exit to community. You're going to sell a coin and shift to community governance. And that means your endpoints are way different. And you have to be cognizant of what that means with what you're trying to build, right? If you're going to exit to community, then you have to build something that can be governed by a DAO. But if you're going to exit via IPO, then you're more going to need to make sure that compliance lawyers are happy. So
exit, you're talking about the people that you're pitching to,
Well, I mean, ultimately, the venture capitalist wants to make some money, right?
Yeah, they want to,
and they can't do that off an illiquid security.
Profit and exit. Is that what you're talking about? What the exit strategy is there? Is that what you mean?
Exit strategy is how you frame, because you got to tell a growth story, and that growth story has to end with everybody making an assload of money and living happily ever after, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, they're not going to be interested.
And they talk about, and this is not what I was going to say, but basically, yeah, I've been a fly on the wall in one or two VC conversations, and it's very much like bragging about like, oh, I got a 40 bagger, or I got a, that kind of thing. And it's not about what they're investing in. It's about the outcome of what happened. Hey, check it out. I got, 100x on this. Holy crap.
Well,
the pinnacle of number go up. The pinnacle of number go up.
Yeah.
They're beholden to a whole bunch of rich people to trust them to make their money more by what they promise, which is usually 10 to 100x at a minimum. Like 100x is like par for the course. You passed a basic level of this fund was worth my time. And they have to sell that to the next round that they want to sell. So venture capitalists are always looking to the exit. If they're thinking towards they're sticking around for a long time, be good at what they do. So if you want to get ahead with them, you have to think like that too, and that means thinking community versus thinking a public offering. You just have to know it.
I think what Czar said was interesting too, and Czar's been around long enough where they should basically be a honorary co-host at this point. Thank you for always having things to say to us. Yeah, what do you think about this? About legacy systems? Like who's accessible for raising capital? You know what I mean?
Depends on where your jurisdiction is right now. Like that was the ICO craze, right? The ICO craze was there was no SEC intervention.
I think that goes along with this, and this is what the point that you guys make so often. It's like, why do we want to be involved with those people? And like Lisa said, we don't want to be involved with those people. I think with the ICO craze and people, the average Joe, first, anyone could invest. Anyone could be a VC. Communities became, VC funds. People could raise peer-to-peer. And a lot of money was made. A lot of 10Xs and 100Xs and 1000Xs. And when Wall Street and these people see that, when it's undeniable, when you have grandma and grandpa going to their fund managers and like, why don't you have 1% of my money at least in this? My grandson
told me you can't put it in.
But when it gets to the point where you can't argue what has happened
after 2011, right? Was what was the rule? Was the Dodd-Frank Act, right? They basically made it so that all of the alpha is drained from every single security that gets a public offering before it gets a public offering, because venture capitalists responded to those regulations by keeping things private. That was the effect, was that the public markets have no upward mobility when it comes to anything other than pure financialization or like the Fed pumping dollars into the system with.
It's as if you can't
markets.
It's as if you can't make people do something by just creating a rule that says you got to do it this way now.
Right, for sure.
The way they want to do shit.
So Darko, since you've got to jump and it's late, did you have anything you want to add to this? Because your perspective has a lot of interest.
Just quickly, I think the difference. I don't know if I'm too fatigued, so forgive me if I don't make sense. But I'm just thinking Web3, shifting power of the big companies to individual users. I don't know if I'm making sense right now.
It makes sense to me, man.
You are, yeah. From my
cool. Ooh, I thought I was getting delirious then. But the same points that you have all raised as well. With the smaller people, and I think it's a topic that we could go on forever about, but you guys pretty much raised all the good points on that one. Let's do one more question.
One more question, and then we can let Darko get some sleep, because it's what, 2:30 roughly.
2:30 a.m. Yeah. It was a massive day for me.
We've got about
Australian beer,
so.
We need to do like a late night show here sometime so that Darko can come on in the morning.
Yes, I'd love to come back. Yes,
I'm down. So, Greg.
Okay, so next question. Lawn Nodes asked, Earth Dragon asks, what justifies a project raising capital? Darko, you can punt on this one. Go first.
Yes, sweet. So there could be many things that look, they want to cover operational costs, research and development costs. They might have some other things that they want to add to development costs. That's another one, development costs. To pay developer is really expensive. Developers are in such high demand right now. I mean, even low-scale developers could be looking at $400,000 to $500,000 a year. They're really hot right now. So, me personally, I believe it's the developers are the most expensive part of the crypto project right now. Right now, sure, marketing costs money. You need money for that, and then you've got your own little treasuries that you need money for as well. You might need money for partnerships. Not all partnerships involve money, but a lot of them do as well. You need money for listing. Hey, you want to go on Binance? Yep, let's raise $2 million and then we'll go on Binance. But hey, we need more than $2 million because we've got stuff to pay. So there are so many reasons as to why a company would need to raise money. It's not just crypto. Just think about it. If I want to open a cafe or a restaurant, do your research. How much money would you need? And if you've got $50,000 in the bank and it's going to cost you $750,000 to open a restaurant, you got to raise some money. So
you need money to pay bills to build. If you don't have money to build, you're just a squatter.
Yeah, but if a founder comes out and says to you, hey, we want to raise $1 million because we've got a serious hookers and blow addiction, then all right, they're not getting my money, right? So you got to look at their reasons as well. The white paper is really important. The pitch deck is really important. And those two things are the things that a lot of people, especially noobs in this space, do not even touch. And the white paper is the foundation of the brand, of the company. Yeah, it's the go-to place for, you got questions, there's your answers. It's a book, basically. So yeah, there's so many things, and different companies have different needs, and you'll notice that in their white papers. Some want to raise money, funds for these reasons. Others have different use cases that require different things to be integrated in, which also costs money. So if I, for example, wanted to create a staking coin just to farming coin, I might need X amount. But then if I wanted to create something like Steppen, that walking app, walk to earn, to develop the app will cost me a lot more. So yeah, it's really a case-by-case scenario as to, what was the question? Why should someone...
a project raising capital? What's here? What justifies a project raising capital?
Yeah, you got bills. I think it's a simple answer. You have to be able to pay to build.
Raising capital or raising venture capital, I think, is the key distinction. Because if you're talking about raising venture capital, it's a little different.
Yeah, they're not. They're just talking about like what kind of things you need to raise capital for.
Oh yeah, but you don't want to see a project come out and say, hey, we want to raise funds. We're doing this round of public offering, and 10% will go here, 9% to marketing, 20% of the team, and then you see 5% of $1 million raised will go to the Panda charity.
No.
I've seen it. I'm not joking. I've seen it.
Are you serious?
Yep, I'm very serious.
Especially nonprofit
don't
stuff.
give charity from your asks.
It wasn't.
Another thing that you need money for, which people don't talk about, is because crypto is volatile.
Unless, of course, your business
money
is
to
charity
keep going,
based.
keep building through a winter. The best crypto project I think I've ever worked with was the first one. The first one I ever signed on with is called Hellas. It's still limping along. And I was they wanted me as an advisor, right? I did a review on it because I was a financial advisor, and I focused on insurance investments and life insurance. And this project wanted to use AI and to bring insurance into the next age of insurance. It was all transparent. It was all on blockchain. Imagine getting in a car accident and you can take a picture of the damage. The AI already had a picture of your car from before. It verifies it. You can scan the police report in your hand and you could get your check or your token sent to you right then. Imagine having no headache, all that processing gone. The insurance, we all talk about banks. I'm going to try to go fast. I know we're short on time. We talk about banks being so evil, but insurance companies own banks. And
I was going to say, I bet insurance companies would not want that.
Insurance company. This is one reason. Insurance companies have lobbied more, and the laws are really on their side.
Mm-hmm.
They're heavily regulated, but they're heavily entrenched in our government. This is legal.
They are the middlemen.
If you're a guy and you get an insurance policy for $250,000 for your family, that's enough to pay for my kids to go to school and my wife to have 10 years. Okay, if you die and you are murdered and it's all super clear, and it's over 2 years, so there's not an incontestability period, and your wife sends out everything off, they can approve the claim. They don't have to pay for 6 months. They can hold your $250,000 for 6 months. Oh, yeah. Your wife can't pay the bills. Your family has no income. They can't pay for the funeral, which was $20,000, because they knew you had a $250,000 life insurance policy. They can hold that for 6 months, because for 6 months they're earning interest on it. They're making
when they're in custody of your funds, they're making interest.
Yeah, they're making 3% for 6 months. Then they legally have to give it to you, and you've suffered and you've taken out loans.
Right
now,
not your coins, not your gains.
Than you were before your husband died, and that's all legal. All that, I was like so excited. We're going to get rid of it, but we didn't do an ICO. We didn't do a cash grab, and then the bear market hit, and we're struggling to pay those bills.
And that's a really good point, Sean. Is like, I think the key to getting capital for any project is you're always going to need more than you think you do.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have a chance to get more without giving up control to a level that you find unacceptable, get more.
A really good example of that in the real world, the non-crypto world, is the construction companies right now. A lot of them in my country are collapsing. A lot of big construction companies, because they've been giving out quotes for newly built houses, and the banks are giving these people the loans after receiving the quote to buy these or to build these houses. But now, because of inflation, costs of wages are going up, cost of tools and materials are going up, cost of timber is going up. Now these construction companies can't finish their houses. They're collapsing and they're going bankrupt. Yeah. And
I had worked on my house, and now everyone comes out, they're like, hey man, this quote's only good for a week because the price of concrete, the price of lumber, I don't know what it's going to be.
Hey guys, we have one question left. We should knock this thing out before we run out of time.
All right, I'll stick around for that one.
Okay, so this is the last question. I started to ask it. Lawn Nodes asked, do a majority of projects raising capital in this space raise funds with fiat, a stablecoin, or the native currency of the blockchain like Ethereum or BNB? I'm going to just lightning round it myself. I'd say it's going to vary. We did take a chunk of our capital raise in stablecoin. And I think we actually ended up taking all of it in stablecoin, but it was denominated in dollars.
I think majority go ETH, and from the blockchain that if it's beyond BNB, they're going to take BNB. That's the majority, especially smaller cap.
I do think a lot that are like USDC or something. Yeah.
Yep.
I think the majority used to take Ethereum, but now the majority will be taking BNB in these times. Because if you have a look, for example, on CoinGecko and go to new cryptocurrencies, I haven't done this for a few weeks actually, but you'll notice that the majority of the newly listed tokens are on the BNB chain, which to me tells me they've raised funds, or most of them have. And if you just scroll down the page in the newly listed tokens,
not to go back to current events or bring up another thing, but did you see who CZ took a picture with yesterday?
No.
Jamie Dimon.
Yeah, Jamie Dimon.
I don't know who that is.
The arch bastard.
JP Morgan.
It's a depressing picture. I ranted on it for like 5 minutes on our show because they're in Versailles. And I said, that picture, you could go back probably 1,000 years and just put different people throughout history. They were in that damn room.
Yeah.
Darko, what would be a good insult for somebody who is a complete asshole, but in a Melbourne dialect? What would you call somebody locally that you wouldn't hear anywhere else? I want to hear it.
If they were an asshole.
Yeah.
Local slang you're wanting to know?
For example, if I get dumb cunt. I don't know.
Nice. Thank you.
No, normally my natural reaction, especially when someone pisses me off in the car park, is you're a fucking idiot. That's just my natural reaction. And it happened just a couple of days ago again. But what would be a slang then?
Jackwagon.
Dude, you're missing an opportunity.
Car
you
ranting.
could literally make something up, man. I would have been like, oh, we call him fish.
Yeah, we believe,
Yeah, I know.
we would believe you.
I'll have to come back to you on that one with a made up one.
Okay, well, next time on the show, then when we do the morning show, or if you come back late at night,
You're just too tired to be angry at
you're
something.
up and not
We
tired.
call them fish buckets, but then you got to be ready to fight them. You're going to be ready right away because they're gonna attack you.
All
It's a
right,
lollipop
so we are.
Yeah, I'll give my
We're
real-
at time, guys. So
I know, but you said you wanted to do it real quick.
Yeah.
I tend to talk to people that want to take a traditional company and bolt on blockchain stuff, and so they want to sell stuff in fiat, like with e-commerce on their website where you can buy things. You know what I mean? And that thing might be a governance token, for example. So I think that the companies that are looking to leverage blockchain but not necessarily build something on blockchain would be the ones that are raising with fiat. So that's all I want to say.
well, we are past time. I'm not going to get the extra bonus reward, so that is okay with me because I always like to talk long anyway. But let's go to each person now and see what's up. This Darko, since you're unfamiliar with this, how this rolls, we at the end try to give each host a chance to say what they're working on, what's coming down the pike for them. So
Okay.
at that, would you like to go first?
Okay, cool. Oh, full screen. Oh, I feel special now. At the moment, I'm working on Crypto Tonight YouTube channel, and it's an uphill battle because of the reasons mentioned earlier. Also, Chief of Operations for Vulture Capital. It's an upcoming startup. Our website is vulture.farm if you want to check it out. And Chief of Operations for Kanaloa Network, which the website is up as well. And I can't remember the URL because I'm so tired. I think it's
Send it to
Kanaloa.
us and we'll put it in the show notes, man.
Yes, Sean, can you please, Sean?
Darko, do you have your mic in your beard again?
No, it's my headphones now. I
Okay.
stopped attaching my lapel mic to my beard.
Yeah,
I've got this
I
bad
thought
boy.
so, and then I saw that. Okay.
Yeah.
That's
And I'm working on a crypto course for my channel as well. And you can visit my website, www.cryptotonight.co. And I'm global ambassador for Huobi and a good chess player.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
I hope that
I
wasn't
love
too
playing
long.
chess. We'll have to play sometime.
Yeah, I haven't played for a while, but I used to play so much, man. There was a
I got way
full
back into it after Queen's Gambit came out.
Yeah, I haven't seen it. That's a movie.
You got to see it. If you like chess, you got to see Queen's Gambit. It's on Netflix.
Okay, cool.
I don't know if that girl is pretty or weird looking.
Have another beer and then you'll decide.
It's like,
Okay, Sean, what's up in your world?
everything that Darko said, Vulture Capital, Lisa, I and Darko are working with that. Kanaloa, personal stuff. Me and Darko are doing stuff on Huobi. I'll probably do more together.
Yeah.
I did one separately. He did one separately, and I hated it, man. It's so awkward. It's just like talk about her. It's like it just feels weird, man. Not like talking with someone else and bouncing stuff off them.
Yeah, true.
I'm doing the crypto meme review, which will be this weekend. Probably be a long one. Probably gonna do that. Crypto Bros and Brews, or Brew and a Crypto Bros, one or the other. Don't steal my idea. And then
Crypto Brews.
we got Tuesday. Every Tuesday is Truth Tuesday that streams on my channel and Lisa's channel. And people are starting to be good and bounce back and forth on both our channels to give us support. I'm going to forget something. I really am. But tune in because we're going to have special once a month. If these guys don't do it, I'm going to do it because now I'm going to have a coronary and just have a red-pilled, show. Because we have to, because there's so much that we all, want to go over. And that's not like why this was started. It's something the community wants, obviously because they voted it in. But we do need to get that started.
Sean, I'll come join you if you want anytime for that.
Yeah, and I love hanging out with you because I love you, man. You're cool.
Likewise.
I love you, man. I do. Actually, love everyone on this panel here.
Oh,
Oh, feel the love. Feel the love.
If I had a barbecue, you would all be coming to it.
Oh yeah. Cool. Lisa, what's up with you? What's new in your world besides the awesome video we saw at the intro?
Yeah, definitely the Team Mighty event, August 6th. Big Swear Road to Rooter Crew will be here August 5th. And then August 6th is the Team Mighty event in Oklahoma City. So you guys check that out and please join us. And then every day, Monday through Friday, weekdays, I've got my show 4 Central, 5 Eastern. Sean joins me on Tuesday. We bounce back and forth. We're on both of our channels, but we're bouncing ideas back and forth. And then I've got different things on the rest of the week. I'm part of the Veritasium DAO, and we've got a lot of things happening with that. So I'll have more interviews with Reggie coming out soon, as well as some of the other Veritasium DAO members. So you can check out the Veritasium DAO YouTube channel that I'm a host with Jeff Pinnacle on. And my goodness, Sean brought me in with Darko on the Kanaloa and Vulture project. So just lots of good things happening. So
Cool. That's awesome. And Dave, what's up with you?
yeah. So Den Social, that's kind of my whole thing right now. I've basically refocused my life in the past couple of months around making sure that I have time available to execute all of the irons that have been in the fire for a couple of years. It's for some reason, the bear market has left people who still want to build way more accessible. So I want to say that on Den, one of the last feature that just shipped, sometimes this happens where a feature that is approved by the DAO is finished by the devs sooner than I realize. So just last night, we shipped anonymity tools on Den, which we haven't had before. So I just have a proposal pulled up. This is what it would look like if you're a layer owner on Den and somebody in your layer has proposed to allow anonymous comments. You can go in and you can vote on that. And the options for communities now, if you want to come in with your community and you want to use this to manage what's available, if people, they're too embarrassed to say something, maybe I'm a lefty and I don't want to talk over in the Donald layer or something, if you want to bring more outside voices in, then you can enable this as a layer owner. For example, in firearms, there's a proposal in there too, because people sometimes shy away from talking about hot topics. And so if the community approves it, we can allow anonymous votes. And not only can we allow them.
Well, if they need to be talked about, they got to pay for advertising. That's it's enough.
Well, we can, there's 3, we made it an interesting way where, so a community can allow anonymous posts in their community, and they're incentivized to do so. Because if you're anonymous, we don't know who to pay out for the rewards whenever you post content. So that goes to the layer owners. So it introduces an interesting thing in the economy there. But also we can enforce anonymous only. So you can disallow, we don't want anon posts in here. But interestingly, you can say, you know what, we want only anonymous in this particular layer. So go play with those tools if you're on Den. If you're not on Den, go sign up. It's free and we don't take any of your personal information. And so that's the update for Den, except that later today we have a Den DAO meeting. So it's not a show, but if you want to get in on the DAO meeting, we can talk exactly about this and what the next feature sets are coming up, and we can maybe catch you up if you've missed the past few.
And Darko, if you're not having trouble sleeping at like 5 a.m., it should be around the right time. So,
Greg, were you and Darko talking about the chess Den and having a?
I was just talking about chess.
A tournament for people to play, like digital chess.
That's a good idea.
Have different rounds, and then they could all, everybody could, pitch in to take part, and then the winner wins all the.
I'll stake my grandpa apes on it. So I got to do something with my cartoon monkeys.
I was just talking about like putting some Dan up there or something.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah, I thought that would be a good thing for the community.
You know what? I've thought about this before, but I never happened to be I only talk to any of you on the shows we do together, basically. Yeah. So So I'm in a position where I've been throwing into every single layer that gets created. And so I got a bunch of ownership, like way too much ownership in some of the communities. So if any of you want to give away like door prizes or at your Team ID event, Lisa, for example, or if you want to like I've got firearms. I mean, I have firearms, but I have firearms ownership in the layer too. And so if anybody wanted to give away stuff, I can throw in stuff to give away.
Yeah, please. We're looking for silent auction items for the charity. So
I've even got some NFTs for you for sure.
I even have a board of physical merch. So there's that.
So I'll give away a grenade launcher.
Awesome. I need a tank too.
Ooh, a tank. Yeah, you can drive those. Those are legal.
Yeah.
If you can drive a tractor legally, you can drive a tank.
That's right.
Legally. It just has to have
I can get you a tank cheap.
Awesome.
So for my quick update, and then we got to cut out because we are way past time. But I just want to take my time to talk about Joshua Schulte, who is the ex-CIA operative who leaked the Vault 7 leaks on WikiLeaks. So go on WikiLeaks, you can see it. I recommend spreading it around because the Streisand effect should avenge him. He was recently convicted and imprisoned. So we live in, yet again, another example of a world where this is a police state dystopia, and the people that tell us the truth about people who are using things that we task these people with protecting us and protecting our rights, and they use the resources we give them to violate them. So I highly recommend supporting clemency release for Joshua Schulte and Julian Assange, who helped him put that up, and that's what I want to use my time to say. So, but that said, this is the close of the episode, so I just want to remind everybody to share, like, smash the buttons that send it to places and give it to everybody and get that shit out there, because everybody needs to see this, and also because everybody in here listening who has questions, everybody up here on stage gets a reward for doing so. Again, if you want to find Vault 7 stuff, wikileaks.org, and it's on the front page. So
awesome. Thank you.
And
all right, everyone. Have a good one.
All right, thanks for having me. Until next time.
Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best. Adaptable, raw capital, label radical yet rational. A tactical approach is palpable if this animal is fallible, but that conclusion is laughable. So with for all detachable from the mandible, you see it now.